Yesterday we were discussing about consumption function, what consumption function is, and what Keynes consumption theory is. Keynes consumption theory is known as Keynes psychological theory of consumption. Let me just quickly summarize what is Keynes consumption theory or Keynes psychological theory of consumption. According to Keynes, consumption increases as income increases, but not as much as that of increase in income. Suppose there is an increase in income, we do consume more, but not as much as that of increase in income. So when there is an increase in income, consumption expenditure also increases, but by a smaller amount or less than proportionately. So whenever there is an increase in consumption, it will be always less than 1, because whatever increase has been happening in the income, a part of it will be saved. This is what Keynesian psychological theory of consumption is. Keynesian psychological theory of consumption basically means that we do consume more when income increases, but after a particular point we start saving, which was explained through the proper consumption function, which was developed by Keynes, where consumption is considered to be an increasing function of income. C is equal to A plus BY, where A is considered to be autonomous consumption. Autonomous consumption is income independent consumption. For minimum level of survival, we need to consume something. Even if income is zero, there has to be some level of consumption, is what we know as autonomous consumption. And MPC, marginal propensity to consume. Today we will in detail discuss about MPC. That was about consumption function. Consumption function is being expressed through a table, like the demand schedule or demand schedule. We can even say that this is a consumption schedule, where you can see that income has been increasing from 0 to 60 to 120 and 180. Consumption also increases, and that is the first stage. First stage is where when there is no income also there will be some amount of consumption. A, autonomous consumption, is 20 here. You can see that in the first stage it is negative saving, and then the second stage, whatever income we get, we consume that totally, ending up saving nothing. Zero is the saving there. That is the second stage. Third stage, when the income again increases, consumption do increases, but not as much as that of the increase in income. Increase in income is 60, that is 180 minus 120. The difference between 180 and 120 is supposed to be 60, but changes in 220 from 170 to 220 is not exactly 60. So that means that increase in income is there, but consumption also increases, but not as much as that of increase in income. In the third stage, people start saving, and it has been explained through a graph, where C equal to A plus BY is considered to be the consumption function. It starts from A, that is autonomous consumption. It is far away from 0, and the 45-degree line Y equal to C plus S is the income line, that is the income is divided between consumption and saving. So you can see that the portion to the left of the B is this savings, the first stage. At B is where OY2 income is there, that is the level where there is no saving. It is the second stage, and third stage is right to B. Right side of B shows savings. This is the 3-stage explained by Keynes through his consumption function. Let's move over to what is average propensity to consume. Average propensity to consume is the ratio of consumption expenditure at any particular level of income. Let it be any. So basically, average propensity to consume means how much is the level of consumption at different level of income. Just like in the schedule, if you can see the table, at 0, 20 is the level of consumption, 60, 70 is the level of consumption. So basically, APC or average propensity to consume means this table where income and consumption is being compared. What is the percentage of consumption when we have 0 income? What is the percentage of consumption when we have 60 income? This is what we are calling APC, average propensity to consume. It is a ratio of consumption expenditure at different level of income. Let it be 0, let it be 20, 60, 120. As the income increases, what is the level of consumption which is being consumed with that income is being expressed through APC, average propensity to consume. Propensity basically means the tendency or inclination towards a particular thing. So here propensity to consume is that, like, how much tendency do we have to consume with the prescribed income or the given income. This much of given level of income will be there. What is the level of consumption we consume? What is the level of commodities we consume with the given level of income is being expressed through APC. The percentage or proportion of income consumed, which can be expressed as APC is equal to C by Y. C is consumption, Y is income. In economics, Y is termed as always income. So consumption divided by income shows us the APC, which shows that the proportion of consumption to income. How much of consumption is done by a person when he has the given level of income. As you can even see in the table that APC keeps on declining. See, the consumption keep on declining. 20, 70, after 120 it is increasing, but the change in that is actually declining. So APC declines as income increases, as the proportion of income spent on consumption decreases. So APC doesn't basically mean the absolute value of consumption. It means the proportion of income which we spend on consumption decreases, not the exact consumption. Like 20, 70, in the table you can see that it is 20, 70, 120, consumption is increasing. So that is that 20, 70, 120 is the absolute terms of consumption, what we exactly consume. When we see that consumption is increasing, you cannot say that APC is declining there. APC basically mean that the amount which we spend when there is an increase in income reduces. Earlier we used to see in the table, you can see that when we had only 60 income, we used to spend most of, even like more than what we earn, we used to spend on consumption. When it was 120, we should completely spend our income on consumption. When it was 180, you can see that the change what is happening, the proportion of income what we spent on consumption reduced. Again you see, and then it's 50-50 change is only happening. So the proportion of income which we spent on consumption decreases, not consumption is decreasing. Consumption keep on increasing, but the proportion of income which we spend on consumption decreases, and what we are not spending we are actually saving. Why is APC declining? Because a part of the income increase has been saved. We are not completely utilizing the whole income into consumption, a part of it is saved. That is what we are showing through the equation APC plus APS is equal to 1. 1 basically mean income. Suppose if it is 100% income is there, the total income in your hand. So when the total income is there, a part of it is consumed, a part of it is saved. APC is average propensity to consume and APS is average propensity to save. So the total income is distributed between consumption and saving. Total income has the tendency or inclination towards consumption and saving. Like that, the whole total income is divided between consumption and saving. Thus it will become equal to 1. So when you do it, APC is equal to 1 minus APS, which you can actually derive from that equation itself. If APC plus APS is equal to 1, that means automatically APC is equal to 1 minus APS. That is, from the total income minus saving will give you the level of consumption. Right? This is average propensity to consume. Average propensity to consume shows the ratio of expenditure or consumption at different level of income. One thing here, it has to be very clear that we are not talking about the absolute consumption. We are talking about the change in the way we spend on consumption when we increase the income. When there is an increase in income, usually in initial stage we used to spend our total income. After that, after a particular point, we reduces that spending level and a part of it will be saved. The whole income will not be spent. That is what APC is. Next, let's move over to the next concept, MPC, which is marginal propensity to consume. Earlier when we saw that consumption function is C is equal to A plus BY, where we said that B is MPC. MPC means marginal propensity to consume. So what is marginal propensity to consume? It's the ratio of change in consumption to change in income. So you are already aware of the marginal concept. We have studied about marginal cost, we have studied about marginal revenue, where marginal cost and marginal revenue actually expressed the difference in the level of cost. What is marginal cost? Marginal cost is how much extra has been incurred to produce one more extra unit of output. Same way we have studied about marginal utility. Marginal utility means what is the extra level of satisfaction which we derive by consuming one extra level of unit, one more extra unit of consumption. When we consume one more unit more, what is that extra level of satisfaction we receive is what MU, marginal utility, shows. Same way, marginal propensity to consume also shows the change in APC. That is, it is actually MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y. The slide, I think when it is a bit here and there. Actually MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y. You can change that. So let's go back to the table where you can calculate the MPC. Just like you calculate MU, or just like you calculate marginal cost or marginal revenue, same way we calculate marginal propensity to consume. That is, that level of consumption 20, 70, 120 is there. We deduct. The first one will be blank. 70 minus 20, 120 minus 70, like that. 170 minus 120, 220 minus 170, 270 minus 220. The change in the level of consumption is what we call MPC. That change is caused because there is an increase in income. So change in consumption due to change in income is being called MPC. Delta C by delta Y. What level of consumption has changed because there is a change in income? How much level of consumption has increased or decreased because there is an increase and decrease of income? Delta C by delta Y. Change in consumption divided by change in income. Just like we said, MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. Same way, the change in consumption is equal to 1. MPC plus MPS is equal to 1, which means that the change 1 is actually the change in income, and whatever change in income has happened, it will be divided between consumption and saving, and automatically it takes us to the MPC is equal to 1 minus MPS. Whatever which has been saved from the given income, what is being left will be consumed. Or indirectly we can say that from the given income, whatever is being consumed and what is left is being saved. So always MPC plus MPS will be equal to 1, which is the given level of 100% of income. 1 basically means 100 full income. That full income will be divided between consumption and saving. So 1, if it is MPC, that means from the full change in income, whatever change in income has happened, that will be divided between consumption or change in consumption and change in savings. That is what MPC mean. It is assumed to be positive and less than 1. MPC is assumed to be positive and less than 1. It will never be full. 1 means full income. It will change in consumption will never be equal to the change in income. Because we initially Keynes started off telling that whatever there is a change, whenever there is a change in income, the whole income will not be consumed. A part of it will be saved. So it will be positive, but it will be less than 1. 1 in the sense whole income. Whole income will not be consumed. It will be always less than 1. And whatever is left will be saved. This is marginal propensity to consume, which shows the change in consumption to change in income. Let's now move over to the determinants of consumption function. We said that there is a change in consumption happens when because of there is a change in income. We can see what all factors are influencing the consumption function. Due to what all reasons does consumption change? Some of the factors which are influencing consumption function, just like we studied the demand function in the previous semester. Demand is being influenced by price of related commodities, taste and preference, price of the commodity, expectation. Like that we studied a lot of factors. Same way, consumption function is also changing because of certain reason or factors. What are they? First one, change in wage rate. Suppose your salary has been increased, suppose your wage rate has been increased, obviously your consumption will increase, but not as much as that of increase in your income. My salary is 10,000, suddenly it has been increased to 50,000. Earlier I used to consume for 10,000, now you cannot expect me to consume. As my income increased to 50,000, I will not consume the whole 50,000. A part of it will be saved. Next, windfall gain or loss. Windfall gain in the sense sudden increase in your income. It is not because you have really worked and earned it. Suppose I win a lottery, that's a kind of windfall gain. Or windfall loss, with no reason my shares just crashed and I am getting a sudden loss in my business. So all those reasons also will change your consumption. Suddenly I'm usual plus my usual salary is 50,000, plus I'm winning a lottery of 5 crore. Do you think that for the whole 5 crore I will eat or I will consume? No, a half of it will be saved. At least what percentage we don't know, but certainly we will save. So consumption function also depends on windfall gain or loss. Changes in governmental expenditure. See, suppose if there is a public expenditure policy which has been announced by government. As for example, MNREGS. MNREGS is like 100-day wages to the village. Every village or every household, one person or any number of person will be getting 100 days of work, where he will be paid around 200 a day, I guess. So if that kind of public expenditure or government expenditure is done by government, that means people are having more income with them. Now they can increase their consumption, but not the full increase in income will not be converted into increase in consumption. So some changes, some governmental expenditure, suddenly now flood has come and government said that we are all giving 5 lakh to every households, then there is an increase in income and consumption do increase. Suddenly if you are getting some that level of money and we are total 5 lakh, we will not consume, right? Like that. Next is changes in expectation. Just like the demand schedule, we said that one factor is price expectation. Example is gold. When there is a price of gold increases or suddenly there is a small dip of decrease in gold price, what happens? We run towards the shops and buy it and stock it. We feel that this reduction will never happen in the for the coming 10 years. This is the best reduction which has happened so far. Let's rush and buy it, is what we think. So the changes in expectations of prices or the changes of expectation of the whole economic condition. Now we feel like many of them, now the condition is during this pandemic condition, we feel like the shares now it has really come down. Let's just invest in most of the shares. Now the world becomes okay. Now the world will be completely functional. Then those shares will earn us good return, is what we think now. So most of our income we get it. We don't go out. So most of the expenditure we don't have. So after meeting all the basic expenditure, what we do, we save them, and we also don't know like how long this is going to last. So all these expectations about the economic condition, all this expectation of even if your job expectation, suppose I feel like after 1 year I will not be able to work for next 2-3 years, then I have to save. So my consumption expenditure will be affected by all those kinds of job expectations. Change in rate of interest. Again, if there is a rate of interest which I am getting for my fixed deposit is more, I will just take most of my money and deposit there, because there is a change in rate of interest. I will get more of rate of interest, or more return will be more to me for my money. Instead of spending everything in consumption, a part of it I will definitely save, so that I will get large amount of rate of interest. It can be vice versa as well. Attitude towards saving. No matter what, how much of money increase happens, some people just don't save. Some that at whatever we get, just spend it is the only attitude among certain, especially it will be seen among the younger generation of the society. Attitude towards saving also influence your consumption function. Another theory, just as important as Keynes consumption theory, is relative income hypothesis, which is being developed by Duesenberry. Duesenberry's theory is actually considered as one of the expansion, or one of the improvement over Keynes theory of consumption, because Duesenberry says that our consumption depends on our relative income, not on our absolute income. Relative income in the sense change in income. Suppose my income has increased from 10,000 to 50,000, that doesn't mean that I have to increase my consumption as well. The real increase in income happens when there is a relative change in my income, which we will this thesis or this hypothesis we will discuss in detail. Relative income hypothesis, because consumption mainly depends on relative income. Or suppose if this is the situation, like I always compare myself with my counterparts. Suppose I earn 50,000, I feel like Bhavya ma'am is earning more than me, or like Bhavya ma'am is earning 1 lakh or something like. So if I always compare my income with that of my counterpart, so I only consider an increase in my income when I'm started to earn more than Bhavya ma'am. Until and unless that I feel like I'm earning less, because relatively she is earning more than me. Okay, so if I am earning 50,000 and ma'am is earning 1 lakh, then I never feel like I'm earning much enough, because I always feel like I'm paid less. So consumption basically depends on relative income, or how we compare our income with our counterparts or our surrounded people. Psychological factors is another. We have our own attitude, our own perspective towards consumption, saving. All those things can also affect our consumption function. Even social practices. Some people believe that every Friday, every Tuesday you have to go to temple and do abhishekams worth 20,000. Then their consumption function cannot be compared to anyone else. Suppose we feel, or otherwise any marriage or every birthday will be celebrated like hash push, then such social practices also affect our consumption function. So all these are certain factors which affect the consumption function of a person.